Good morning, everybody. We're going to give this a moment to load in for everybody. And let me just get this link out to everyone. Just give me one moment, and then I'll be able to go from there. Just click that over, save this. And there's a bunch that I really want to go over, but I'm going to let everybody funnel in first. There's really 4 stocks I want to go over today. And we're going to have to address those. So let's just get right into the first one that I think that you people are going to have to look at. You're going to have to really look at AMC today. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and it looks like we're finally going to get that move. So give me one moment here, and let me just let other people funnel in, and then we'll go from there. Let me just see your live link. And then we'll start. 1 minute. So what we're going to do is the format of this is changing a little bit. What people can notice. Hey, good morning, everyone. The format with this is changing just a little bit. I'm just going to start throwing out what I think you should be looking at. And then I'm going to get into the other ideas. So there's 3 or 4, actually 4, I think you should be paying attention to today. And I'm just going to get into this. I'm not trying to sound like a rah-rah or hopping on this bandwagon of, oh, it's going to the moon or it's going to 100,000. I'm not saying that. So what I'm saying is that this is setting up to run. And this move yesterday where you popped up to the top of this was solidified by this. Okay, so when you broke that flag, we can get rid of these indicators. When you broke that flag, this made a decision on which way it was going to go. And so you're going to test this 4820 level. And I just want to point this out to those, and we can get rid of the other indicators. But I want to show you with volume so that you can understand this a little bit. Okay, so this is what you started to see, okay, on the hourly. This is what you started to see on the 15-minute. Okay, now let me just show you this on the minute. Okay, so by the end of the day, it was just sheer panic to get in this. And you basically went from your average price was 100,000 shares to, almost 7 times that. That's very important. So when you see moves like that, you have to pay attention to it. So what we're looking for is for this to break the 4820 level. And I think we're down a little bit pre-market. What we're looking for is this to break the 4820 level. And then I'm not looking for, just this. I actually think that you're going to wind up getting back to the top of this level. I think you're going to head to $64, $65. So just keep that in mind. It's hyper aggressive. I'm not talking about the valuation that it deserves to be here. I'm just saying, as you have formed this flag and how this flag has gotten tighter and tighter, this looks like it's going to go. So just keep it on your list. In regards to, just other ones, and then I have 2 more I'm going to go over. But GME, just look, if you're super aggressive, watch this today. It's coming out with earnings. There's going to be trades here. There's no question about it. There's definitely going to be trades here. To me, what I would concern myself with is just the very short term, right? If you break that level today, 193, if you're along this, just get the heck out of the way, because you can easily come back down to the lower end of this move, okay? And you are having trouble with this range here. But, I don't know what they do on earnings. Last earnings, they didn't do exceptionally well. I mean, it fell apart. So I'm not saying to buy it as an earnings play. I'm simply saying this should be on your radar for trades. I expect it to be highly volatile today. I expect a lot of positioning today. 193 break would get me to be concerned about it. Tesla needs to be on everybody's radar today. So Tesla does what it does, right? It looks like it's going to break out, gives you a little wick, everybody gets out of the way. This, to me, if we just click off of this for a moment, we have this in the newsletter since 7:30, but for those not in it, I don't think you're out yet. I don't think the move's over. But 780 is your next resistance, and you should be able to see this, okay? You should be able to see this line right here, all right? So that's number 3 that you should have on your radar today. But this, to me, looks like it's going to break through this, and we're going back to here. That's why I put it in the newsletter. Okay. Finally, you need to watch this today. And this is one that, again, we threw in the newsletter yesterday, but once you reversed off of this, we kind of had a slow move on BNTX. And I'm not looking for much here. I'm just simply saying that I think you can get to the top of this range the same way that mRNA got to the top of this range, right? Same way that we're getting up here. That's what I'm saying. You're at this stage of that move on BNTX. That's how I view it. Now with BNTX, what you're looking for is you're just looking for it to just kind of just keep grinding a little higher. But you see this little level right here? When you flip that, it's going to accelerate. Now look at this. Okay, so you can see how this happened in the last 5 minutes of the day, just out of nowhere. You just saw volume go from 10,000, which was your average, 8 to 10 was your average, to out of nowhere, 60, 70,000 shares are starting to be bought at a clip. Okay, you need to pay attention when something like that happens. And you also need to be paying attention to how much that moves the stock. So they're the four that I really want you to go over and I want you to focus on today. Other than that, let's just get into it and start jumping into what we're going to do here. So I do think semis look really good today. And I do think here, let's look at this for a minute. So I do think semis look really good today. And I do think it's something that we're setting up for. So you have a wedge here on the SOX, and this NVIDIA news was not great by any stretch. That was not great news that came out. So, you know, with the ARM deal, I don't know if you followed that with the UK. You know, that's just something for me to take a look at and for me to just watch these levels. So, here, watch this. So I can point this out. Okay. So you on the 8-day, here, let me just look at this for a moment. See how you came right down here, tested this level and held. See how you broke it and you couldn't go through it and you held. That's exactly what you want to see on a stock. Okay. That's exactly what you're looking for. Now, if you can flip this 471.38, you can push and this can go a lot higher. And by higher, I mean, it can go a lot higher. So, and that's what we've been waiting for. And we just haven't seen it yet. So let's see, let's see how this plays out. But I do like those, Brandon. I do. I like that a lot. I like that trade a lot. Let's just go. What do you think about skin? Let's take a look at skin and see what's going on there. So see that trend line? So with that trend line right there, it's not something I'd be interested in. Every single time you hit that trend line, you're rejecting it. And you rejected it very cleanly yesterday, right? And you actually encompassed that entire bar, the body of that bar. And as everybody knows, to me, what is that? That's a bearish engulfing. So I don't know if it breaks down or not. I mean, to me, breaking down means it's going to here, $26. I don't know that you're falling off a cliff. I just know that you're having issues with this area. So that would keep me away from buying that right now. I think, it would definitely keep me away from it. Apple. So in regards to Apple, you broke out. I mean, there's not really much more to say. You're going into your big cycle, right? You're going into that big cycle of the new iPhones coming out. I mean, everybody knew this was coming, but you're going into the product cycle and then you're going to go into your January earnings and it runs from there. I mean, this is pretty textbook stuff. If you go back and take a look at every December and time frame, like if you go and take a look at that and you break this out, right, you'll see that it's this January where you start to move, right? It's just over and over again where it will happen, right? And so that, I mean, you're kind of heading into that now. And I expect this to continue to go. I don't see any reason why this is going to stop. It's just going to be a slow grind up, but it really broke out. I mean, it really broke out here and you're going to see a push. So I think that that's going to continue. I see no reason why that's going to stop whatsoever. So just keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be a huge mover, but it's just going to grind. PayPal. If I don't get to your symbol, just throw it back in. It's a lot easier. This is on my list to watch. I'll tell you, I was just watching it yesterday and watching the close. I like the bidding up. I think it's very interesting that the stock is doing well while crypto is getting hammered. But what you need to see here is you need to just make sure that this is real. And today's move is pretty much showing that it's real. So this might be setting up to continue. That was the move yesterday out. And you could totally see this continue. I don't see any reason why it can't continue. But where are you going? You're going to this 309 level. So do I really want to buy this for 9 points? You know, to me, probably not. I probably want to look for something else. But everybody's a little different. So you're going to have to kind of figure out where you fit in on that and how you want to play it. I might do it for a trade, but I really want to break this level. This level's been an issue, right? And, you know, I have that saying where, you know, the first mouse gets what? The trap. Second one gets the cheese. Maybe it breaks. The time when this breaks, and that's where the real money is going to be, I can take this one out. But on PayPal, that's where the real money is going to be because there's a huge trend line here. And if you hop into that trend line, you can get up to 375, 400. I'm more interested in that move than this, you know, 10 points. And I understand people want to get in it ahead. That's fine. So, would I be out of skin if that's what you're asking me? Yeah, I wouldn't be in that trade. I ran to the trend line and I rejected. And I have a bearish engulfing. I mean, what you could do is just use the low at day. Like here, look, this is what you would use, my opinion, right? So it looks like you're going to gap here. Now that doesn't mean that you are going to gap there, right? Here, let me get rid of these for a moment. So it doesn't mean that you are going to gap there. It just means that that's where they're telling you that what they're going to do in pre-market. And pre-market has tons of games. And we all know this, right? They'll take things down $1 before they wind up running them up $4. You know, it's just the game. I mean, I'm dealing with that right now with, you know, I don't know, AMC, right? Like AMC, they're not breaking out over here. They're bringing it down $1. It doesn't mean that that's where it's going to open or that's what the day is going to bring, right? That's not what's happening, right? They're just playing with it. So trying to market. So when you really drill down into this, you have to kind of look at what you're being told, right? So if we go to the 5 minute, we take a look at that and go, okay, do we see any real volume there? Well, you had somebody do 20,000 shares there. Okay, well, maybe that's something to pay attention to then. I would just be using the open and I'd be watching. If I open below that level, I'd be gone. If I was just it was 5%, I did it for a trade. If I was up like that, yeah. If it breaks that low off the open, I wouldn't even wait to see the next print. I'd be gone and just find another spot to buy it. Hi, Larry. UPST we've done fairly well with, right? You know, you look like you're going to gap up again today. And I'm not raising the target price on it because I think you're getting to a point where you're setting up to snap back down. So what concerns me is just that we're not even stopping now, right? So we flip this level and we know when we flip these, we can go parabolic. Well, I'm going to argue that from 225 to 275 in 3 days is pretty parabolic. And then, you know, it's a 20% move in 3 days. That's pretty substantial. So this gets harder and harder to justify. So what I'm going to wind up doing with it is, for the newsletter purposes, is I'm just going to raise the stop up to the low of every bar while this happens. Now, where could this go? So this is your breakout, right? This is what happened. And then you broke out of that trend, and this is what's going on. So if you just want to look at it from a pure standpoint of that, I can do it from here for right now, okay, to kind of give you an understanding, okay? So this is where you're at on the last weekly bar. So if you use the last weekly bar and you reevaluate what's going on, because you can't really use the new weekly bar, and I don't want to use the daily because of the way it's moving. So I can get to 300. I could go up another 10%. It could happen, but I need to watch this level, okay? And if I get below this 254 level, I'm probably going to have an issue, and that's why I put the stop where I'm at. But this bidding up 5-10%, that doesn't interest me. As a matter of fact, it makes me more concerned. that, and what I'm getting at here, Larry, is if you're in from the newsletter, as this goes on, I don't need to know your position size, but as this goes up, you should be selling into the strength, because one day you could come in and they could just do a secondary, and then where are you going to be? Right. So, and they do need money. So they could do a secondary. They've done it before, and it could be an issue. So just FYI, keep that in mind. Remember, I don't know if you remember this when they did that, but they could do that, and it's gonna be painful. So that's why just be preemptive. EWJ ever since hey Jacob, can you look at EW ever since the news Japanese Prime Minister is resigning? Japanese markets usually go up between resignations and election history. Okay. Was not aware of that. Well, I mean, obviously it jumped on that news. I'm not so sure why it's jumping on that news, but it is. But 72.52. So see what happens with it. To me, yeah, I mean, you're definitely setting up to move. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know that much about geopolitics. I don't get into it. But that looks like it's going to flip and go. I mean, that's really your level here. So, and if you're thinking about that, it's going to rise. Well, this is your channel. I can actually draw this a little bit better for you. Hold on. Right. I mean, there's your channel. So, I mean, this has tons of room. I'm not sure you're going to see that out of something like an index. It's going to take a long time for it to start doing that, but it could do that. That very well could happen. So it's definitely something to consider for sure. So, keep that on your radar. But it can move. I don't know much about the geopolitical stuff that comment on it. I mismanaged an option trade. I'm trying to get out. Okay. If you're down in an option trade and you mismanage it, the easiest way to get out is to just sell the freaking thing. Okay. I'm trying to clean up my language. You just get out. You just take the loss. You don't play with it. You don't convince yourself that you're right. I've said this with this trade, and I'm not saying this for any reason, but when you have wicks like this, it's telling you something. Okay. And I didn't know that it was going to tell you this, which it obviously did. But with the weakness that you're seeing in these names, okay, the weakness that you're seeing in like Bitcoin, it makes me concerned for the whole market. Because I don't know if this is just an institution that got shorted or it got told to be sold out. I don't know if they're playing with this now because, are we going to watch government interference with other governments screwing around with El Salvador now? Like, there's so many caveats that I just don't understand why this happened yesterday, right? And this does not boost confidence. Like me buying this here and then the next day I'm here, right? I mean, just to put this in perspective, and then I'll get back to your question. But just to put this in perspective, okay? So you're down 24% in a day. Like that, not many people are going to feel that that's a store of real value yet, right? I'm not saying that these don't have value, but do you feel comfortable going to bed knowing that this can drop 24% a day? So I'd be really cautious with these right now. And to me, this is still setting up to go lower. Now, maybe you hold this 8-day, and I don't need to know what option you're in or how big the loss is, but if you're in up here, you have a problem because you're not going over this anytime soon. So, but what I would want to see, or what you could look for, is does this form a hammer? Does that hammer stay in place today? Okay. After that hammer, do I make a higher high? If I make a higher high, I have a shot at least climbing some of this. And then maybe you can recoup some that way. But bottom line is I'd watch today's market and watch this bar. And if this bar breaks the 21-day, just get the heck out of it. And they could get that ugly today. They could drop down that much. So just something to think about. Do we re-enter DIX? No. I moved the stop up on it It needs to hold here, reevaluate, and push higher. And if it's not going to do that, then we just need to get out of it and move on. There's not really much more to say there. To me, I don't foresee that happening. I see that we're going to be in a position where you have a bearish engulfing here, and that concerns me. But I think we're going to kind of hold here. I think, yesterday's action should have just been like a wake-up call to people to put stops up and move your stops up. Because you saw a lot of this on stocks that usually don't do this. You really rarely have a bar that does this, right? It's very rare. Okay, so there's some really rare things that happened yesterday, like Docu just reversing, right? So you need to pay attention to that because it shows you that you're at a fragile spot. And I'm not entirely sure why we're at that fragile spot, but it could have ramifications of what we saw in crypto yesterday. So you just need to be aware of that. Now, that said, with DIX, and it's a long answer, but it's the reason I'm giving that answer. I don't think this was a fundamental thing with the company. I don't think that's why this transpired. Let me pull this down. I don't think that's why this transpired. I think this happened because people are up a lot in it. And they're like, you know what, I'm going to ring the register. And that's what they did when they started seeing weakness across the board in some names. I think that's exactly what happened here. So just keep that in mind. Let's just go here. Yes, I just covered it. I would not be looking for a new entry today. No. I mean, you can day trade it. So let's just go here. KDMN. Okay, let's take a look at that. So this is obviously breaking out. Let's just go through this very quickly. Right. Okay. So here's your range. Let's take a look at this on a monthly, since we go back even further. So here's your range. Okay. And there's your level right here. Okay. That's your level, 586. That's the level that you want to watch. Okay. Now, watching that level, what is that going to do for us? That's going to tell us really where that huge base, multi-year base is. Okay. You're breaking through that base, right? So the chances of this going higher are pretty good, okay? Because you're through all that. And this all just became noise, right? This all just became absolute, utter noise. So this can go. Now, what was this, earnings? No, just decided to go today for some reason. I'm not really sure what the news is, and you can throw it on the screen if you want to. But look, this is very simple stuff, okay? You look at your first 15-minute bar and you set a trading range. That's your trading range. Until it does one of those two things, right? Okay, this will save you an inordinate amount of money if you use this. Okay, 764, 960. I only buy it if it breaks here, and if I was long it and it took that out, I'm gone, because that's where the players are. Okay, and I can tell you that that's where the players are because that's where the volume happened after hours. All this is just selling, buying and selling in here, right? But this is where the move took place. So that's your range on it for the day. And then you're going to have to just kind of trade it from there and move your stops up. That's how you play that. So it's been a while resetting, stop losses tight, selling a lot of options today. Yeah, I think that you have to be somewhat concerned here. Like, I didn't get the action that I expected yesterday. I expected real follow through across the board, and we didn't get it. We got it in some names, and we're seeing some of our names work. I mean, some of our names are hitting new highs, right? But overall, I expected more follow through than we got, and that's a concern, especially when I saw what happened with crypto. Like, you have to. I understand they're completely different markets, and one is way more seasoned and been around for hundreds of years, where one's been around for a couple years. But you need to pay attention to that when you see things like that. BBIG. Hey, Ryan. So this is doing everything right. I guess it was on television. I don't really watch TV. So I guess it was on television, and this is when we got that move out of it. And then you just ran up, and now you're bidding up again. Look, this could really go. And it's done that. It's rallying. Your real level that you're going to have to watch here is, you can watch for this, because if you get through that, right? 1147, you're going to go to here. Okay. And then you're going to have to see how it acts. But the fact that this is your wick, right? See this wick right here? And the fact that this is filling in that wick already leads me to believe that 1147 and probably 1190 get taken out today. So you just might want to, it's a short-term trade. You got to get in and out of it. You're welcome, Uto. All right. So crowd, let's take a look here and see what's going on with crowd so we can all get on the same page. Crowd, it tried to rally and it's not really rallying. I mean, it's kind of fallen off, right? It's kind of not doing what I thought it would do. I kind of thought that we might see a bounce because like here, look at this weekly. Like that weekly looks good until yesterday. And now you've sliced through that. So really what you're going to want to watch here, and I'm just going to bring this down for a minute instead of putting a new one in, is if I get below and I close below this bar, 269, like if I close below 269, which is the low of that bar that I'm looking at right now, you're not going to want to be in this by the end of the week. It's going to tell you that you can see more downside. To me, the way that this is trading with this little bear flag in here, and now I have this wedge, is I have the potential to get to 257, 258. Like this is overhang now, right? Higher, right? Lower high is what I'm getting at. So just watch that. You could argue that this is the cup and this is the handle. That's great. I still need to break it in order for it to work. So just keep that in mind, John. P-ton. No, I don't see P-ton reversing to the long side. I think P-ton is just a perma short at this point. We had a decent trade after hours in it a while ago in the community, but overall, I think what you need to do here is just focus on the fact that, look, here's your range. I mean, I can't stress enough and write this down and remember it. When you have a range pre-market, post-market, it's really good to go back and take a look at those ranges and see what happens. The fact that I broke that 97 means that whoever was here, whatever algo or institution was here that was just constantly buying stock, they decided to stop doing that. And that's really important to understand. So to me, this is something that I would really, I'd be out of. So just consider that. I wouldn't be in that at all. I actually think any rally should be short at this point. Hey, Doug, good morning. So I like FUBU. Here's your two issues, okay? Your first issue with FUBU is this, and let me clean this whole thing up for you, Doug, and for me too. So let's open this up, okay? And let's forget about over here for a minute. And let's just focus on this. Okay, so that's your level, and that's been your level, right? You hop out of it, you look okay, you break this rising wedge, you look like you're going to get above it, you form an evening star, you come back down. Okay, now you're dealing with this. The larger issue is you have to get above and stay above that level 3144. Really, this is going to be really tough to do, but right, because there's so much other noise here. But if you really look at this on like the weekly, you can kind of get a sense of where you could go to, right? You can get back up to that 35 level, right? Because you can see that level goes to here. Okay. We're just going to call it 35. That's where you would trade to, 35. But your underlying issue is that you're not going anywhere with that stock unless this moves. If we roll again, FUBU, DDD, they're all done. So this needs to get above that 8-day and get through this level, or we're just going to keep doing this. And this time I thought we were actually going to go because of the volume and the spike and the way we were trading and the way that these were crossing. I actually thought that this was the time it's going to break. That's not what's happened, right? So we have to not look at what we want. We have to look at what's happened. What happened was this. Okay, and this is important for any of the small caps everyone's looking at. Okay, this bar engulfed this bar. So I have a bearish engulfing at the top of the range. That's not where you want to be. So maybe we'll reverse, maybe this will hold, and maybe we'll push up. But I don't know that. I don't know that for a fact, right? So I have to see how we're going to trade here and what's going to transpire. So just keep that in mind. I don't have a lot of faith right now. I mean, like, I do think we're going higher, and you can see certain stocks are pushing to go higher. Like, you know, Tesla looks like it's just going to go exactly right to where we thought it was going to go. Some stocks are pushing higher, but you need to have a bit of skepticism about this market right now and be very quick on the trigger with your stops, because something's not right with the way that crypto acted yesterday. And I know that you're asking about the stock market and you're asking about FUBU, but everything's interconnected. And, you know, FUBU's not going to go up if the IWM comes in. It's just not. Go put a chart next to it, and it's almost identical to this. It's like I've been saying about this stock that we've done okay with, you know, and yesterday I've got this bearish engulfing on it. And look, I get to the high of my trade line and I pull back. Looks just like IWM. So you have to watch these because the underlying index does affect you. So let's take a look at it. Hey, Voss. So I don't know how much of a lesson people want at this time, this time in the morning. I mean, I know everyone's trying to leverage me to make money. I just think you have to be, look, the very first thing you have to do to make money, in all the years I've been doing this, if I get this through everyone's head, you have to protect your capital, okay? You can make more money with your money if you protect your capital. If you don't protect your capital, you're going to have an issue. You don't want the wild swings. You don't want a $100,000 account to go to 25 and then you have to triple it to make your money, right? You just don't want to do that. 2905 is what you need to get over and stay over. You're in no man's land right now on AT Atom, right? You need to get over that 2905. We tried once and failed. Maybe second time's the charm. QFIN. So QFIN's getting above that level. China FinTech is starting to get more of interest across the board. This is not a trade that I'm interested in. It could absolutely work. It seems to be working, but it's just not something that I'm overly interested in. So I'm going to take a pass on it. I would concern myself with these wicks. And you're seeing these movements across the board, right? So like you're seeing Futu attempt to go higher, okay? You're seeing all of them. They're all starting to work like this, right? This one's kind of trying. QFIN had the highest revenue and highest earnings growth, so that's going to get the biggest move. But you have a lot of work to do there. And maybe we hold, maybe we don't. I would be concerned about the fact that my bar didn't close all the way up through the 50-day. So you're going to want to watch and make sure you don't take out that low and go from there. But, okay, let's just see here. Right. Oh, love. Hey, you know what, Sue? You asked me about this last night. Let's do it now. Good morning, Sue. Let's get to it. So let's just deal with this. You know, here's your issue. I just don't see any reason why this is going higher. So here's the one thing that you have going for you is that you're holding this level, right? And you can see how this level's kind of been in there for a while. I don't know why that level's right there, but it is. That 52, every time you get to that level, it kind of bounces, right? You see it? So here, hold on. Let's really zoom in on this so you can see it. So what you're seeing is here you broke below it, you rallied, right? Bonk, right off, bonk, 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 bonk. So your bottom, that's your bottom. If you close below this 52 like you did here, you probably, if you're long this, you probably want to get out of it. But this has a lot of work to do, right? We constantly are rejecting the 21-day, okay? And the 8's pointing down, the 21's pointing down. The 50 is about to cross the 200, which we refer to as what? A death cross. So I don't see the reason to be jumping into this. You know, if I was to be short, I would want it to be closed below 52, and that's where I would look at putting the short on. But I don't see this as something that I'd want to be long. So I actually think that AMC is going to go. I actually think that that's going to run. I really believe that. I don't want to update that now, but I don't want this on my screen So hopefully this will take 2 seconds. There we go. Let's do you. So you definitely, it has to be on the radar. I mean, this was a pretty solid move yesterday, and I like this. This is where you closed 136. You open and bid down today. It's actually not the worst place to actually put the trade on. Look, this is a really simple trade. Okay. This is where you're at. If you're going to gap down this morning, that's fine. If you break below this bar, 132.30, you don't want to be in the trade. Okay. It's really that simple. Other than that, you want to be in this and you want to see if it can push up to here, right? That's what you're shooting for. And it's setting up to do that, right? The 50 is going to cross the 200. You're going to have a golden cross instead of the death cross we just looked at. These moving averages are starting to separate away from themselves. So it's possible that this can go higher. And I would definitely be looking at this. There could be 20 points here. So, I mean, technically for like the newsletter or something like that, I'd probably want a 137. But you could totally buy this here, right here, and then just use this low, that what I just gave you, as a stop. Because if you break that, you just get out of the way. And that's like 2.5 points on a $130 stock. I mean, it's kind of rare that you can get a, so many short basis point move. But I don't think you're going to break that. And I sure don't think you're going to break this 131.42. But if you do, you want to be out of the way. But I like that trade. Wayfair, I don't really know what's going on there. I really stopped watching that. So, to me, it's not doing anything that's worthwhile. Could you short it? You could. Every time you broke this 200, what's happened? It's rallied. So I don't know why it wouldn't bounce and rally this time. The only difference is that it's getting tighter and tighter. So maybe it is going to break, right? I mean, maybe it does break. I don't have an answer to that, right? I mean, here, look, right? So just keep that in mind. It's something to consider. But I don't know that I'd be shorting that. The response to the 200-day would have me concerned. Would make me not want to be short that. Hey, Joshua. SQ. So I mean, I just don't see the reason. I just don't see the reason to be jumping into this. I know people are looking at it and saying PayPal's moving. This is going to move. I don't know that. I can only show you. I can only look at what I see right now, right? That's all I can do. And to me, I'm not seeing anything that's alluding to the fact that this is going to go higher and run. So that's really how I'm looking at it. I would not be a buyer of this. I would wait until it shows me something, Jerry. Yep. Good. Glad to hear it, Voss. STAA. I keep getting asked about this one. I always pay attention when you keep getting asked about it. I mean, it's a clean breakout. There's not really much more to say about it. That's a clean breakout from that level. Okay. Now you're here. Right. And that's right where you closed. So get over that level and you're there. Then you basically have a reverse head and shoulders, right? Here's your left shoulder. Here's the head. Here's the right shoulder. You can see how it's inversed. So, and then just kind of can go. But then on top of this, this is really where you're going to run into another issue right here. 181, 182. But that's there. It's definitely there. When are earnings? So you have plenty of time for earnings. You don't even have earnings concern on it. Let's just keep going. Yep, you're welcome, Ryan. Anytime. Hey, Brett. So let's do you. I like doing this like earlier and doing the one video because people can hop on and off, get back to work, and then they can watch it later. So in regards to you, I don't see anything that is like earth-shattering that makes me feel like I have to get involved. We had a trade here. I remember that trade and buying that trade, but that reversal right here, right? that nasty red bar with the inverted hammer down here, almost a gravestone, that marked your top, right? Trade's dead. So now I'm doing the basing dance with wicks, right? See all these wicks? Price rejection, right? Price rejection. So it's not something where I'm really willing to jump into here. So I would hold off on CELH if I wasn't in it, just because of what I saw. So, you know, I have this in the newsletter. We're up in it. I went right to this level and I rejected. I didn't really even get there. Like the high of this was 89. So I missed my level by like $1.50, right? If I got to this and rejected, I may have even put out a little notice. But the fact that this body is encompassing this body is not what I want to see. That means I might be at a top. So for those that are like more conservative, if this breaks the 85 level, you just want to get out. And I just moved the stop up here. So at least we make something on the trade, but that is not the action you want to see. And I would not be buying something like this that just rejected the top of this level. I'd want to flip that level and go higher, right? And then be interested, just like you did here, right? How you were bouncing around here and then you flip it and then you go, right? Now you're just managing the position. Like every day now, I'll just move the stop up to the low of that bar. That's really what you're waiting for to happen with CELH, and it didn't happen. It rejected. So you have to pay attention to that rejection and figure out what to do with it. So Tesla, I went over. I'll do it again. Hold on one second. This has no, the guy's not at all, Brandon. The guy's a billionaire. Him selling $41 million worth of stock is probably part of a group. The guy's like a legit billionaire. So that's not a concern of mine. Tesla. Now, Tesla, we went over. I'll do it again very quickly. So you're breaking out today. You know, we're up 5% from when we talked about it in the newsletter, but really what you're focused on is this level right here. Okay. That's what you have to be focused on. 780. I think that's where you're going to peg to. And then maybe you run into some resistance. You know, we're going to really have to see how we open today. To me, they seem to be just like knocking things down because they can knock them down in the morning. But some things are bidding up and you just really have to watch. Like, again, I can't stress enough that yesterday's action has me way more concerned than I was on Friday. I just didn't like the action at all yesterday. I did well yesterday, but I didn't like the action. Yeah, the volume, I get the volume. I could see that. Microsoft, sure. So here's what you're seeing with Microsoft, and you're just between the 8 and the 21, and there's not really much more to do there. You know, I would just hold off and watch. I mean, it's not possible for this to go up, right? And this is the XLK, which is the semiconductor index, or I'm sorry, the technology index of the S&P. I mean, 20% of that index is over 20% is Microsoft. The other 20% is Apple. So it's not possible for Apple to go up and then this not to get some, you know, buying based upon that. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, that's kind of how I would view that. But I do like that. CRM. So CRM, you're in this range right here. Look. Okay. That's your range. Okay. That's what you need to happen. You need to break through that. You're not doing that. You're doing the exact opposite. What does this stock do every time it comes out with earnings? Opens up and gaps down and runs down. Okay. The time to buy this is when it finally finds some kind of bottom after earnings. That's when you buy it. Not now. DraftKings, Eric, I think you have to look at it this way. Okay. And this is what I was saying to people yesterday. This has been, this was our target, $64. I got to my target yesterday. So here's where we stopped. I don't know who remembers this. This was the secondary, right? When they did a secondary up here. Okay. So that lets you know, and this is what happened after that secondary. But what this lets you know is that seller who was willing to sell there, they might've sold here. Right. And you can see how we stopped here before. So this is a real level. This is not an area that you become a buyer. This is an area where you need to watch and make sure that you flip. And then if you start seeing some kind of rejection here and you don't want to take the risk of losing this 20%, you just blow it out. But this is not showing signs. Like, we didn't hit 64 and jump over it. What we did was this. Okay. We got to it, right? And then we started getting smaller and smaller, right? With here's a bearish engulfing, right? And then we tried again and failed. And then we had this at the end of the day where somebody just dumped 1 million shares. So that's not really inspiring an inordinate amount of confidence. And you can drill down into this a little bit and even see more how that selling accelerated towards the last, in the break by looking at 5 minutes. So that's not really what you're looking for, right? I mean, essentially you broke your trend line of the day. Here, look, let's get rid of these indicators so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see a little clearer. I'll just use this. So you can see you broke down your trend line, tried to get back through that trend line, couldn't. Then you took out this low, which was your support, right? And you broke. So I'm not a buyer of that. You need to watch that and make sure that it doesn't fall apart there. RLX. I mean, you're moving. I'm not, let's see if we're doing something wonky in the pre-market. You're moving. I don't really like the little guys. This long red bar would keep me away, but that gets you to 19. So I understand why people are going to look at it. Here's what you have going for you. And I'll throw the moving averages in. And I think you should look at volume by price on this too. I like the fact that you undercut this. Okay. And then I like the fact that this was your high and you took that out, right? You could see how you had issue here with it, right? And then you took it out here. And now you're moving higher. Now you could say that there's a trend line here. It's really hard to do trend lines with stocks like this. Yes, you're above all your moving averages. So that's interesting. And yes, your volume is increasing. One thing that I would always tell you to look at when you've based this long is just look at volume by price. Okay. And get a sense. This tells you where you're at. This tells you where your next level is going to be. So where you're going to run into supply, which probably means where you're going to have an issue. So you can see pretty clearly your issues with this are going to be $9, $9.12 it looks like, and this $12 level up here. So it could go. This could go, especially with the volume that's kicking in right now. Let's take a look. mRNA, let's take a look at that one. mRNA. So to me, it looks like it wants to go. I mean, it looks like it's going to go right to that level again. Looks like it's going to go to the 53 level. And we'll see how that plays out, but that's what it looks like it wants to do here. So we're going to have to see how that transpires, but that's what I say right there. Apple we went over. I like Apple. Oh, you're welcome, Neil. I like Apple. I think it's going to grind higher into January's earnings. Zane, Miguel, SE. So let's take a look at SE, see what's going on here. So with SE, right, just watch this level because we should have had follow through and we didn't. So you can pull back. I raised the stop right up to here, right? I just a little bit under that level. So at least we lock something in. But I don't really want to close below. If I close below the 8-day after this, I'm not going to wait to see if I get to this level. I'm not going to wait. So I would watch this. It looks to me like it's at risk and it's starting to roll. So I would not be chasing it here. I'd let it sort out what it's going to do and kind of go from there. So hold on one second. Let me just keep going here. And XLE. So I think that move's done. I think you're done. I think the whole IDA trade is over. It really didn't get a lot of action. Your 50 days keeping you down and you're riding that. I just wouldn't be trading it. I don't see any big issue there. BBIG, I thought I went over. Good index hedge with you can use the indexes to hedge today. I mean, For me, you can just short TNA is the easiest way to hedge if you're concerned. BBIG I went over. I'll just point this out again. This wick is being filled by this wedge, and it looks like we're getting over these levels. So we just have to watch. You have to watch the 1147 and the 1190. But I think you're going to get through that 1147 at least today. That's just my sense of it. So let's just see how we do there. But I think you're going to get through that level. Let me just keep going here. CPNG. So there's not really much to say. You undercut the low here. You got to get over this 21 day, and then you got to work your way up 36. There's a lot of work here. Not something I'd be rushing into, to say the least. Let's go through this. RKLB. So, yeah, I mean, look, it broke out, and now you have to just see if you have follow through. These wicks should scare you, right? Because that just means you have clear price rejection, and you had clear price rejection over here. So somebody's selling into this. And because of that, you need to be concerned. And I wouldn't chase it until you see, something of substance. Skills. Look, skills needs the IWM to work. And until that happens, you just need to avoid it. There's not really much more to do. But what I would say is you are building a little flag here, and your 8 is crossing your 21, but your first resistance is 14.25, right? That's where you're going to run to. And that's what you're going to have to watch. So HIMS, let's take a look at HIMS. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're 8, you're turning, and you could get up to that level. Absolutely. So that can happen. So you just have to see. Fubu, I think you're getting an 8. I think you have to get through 31.45. UPST. Let me just UPS. I got UPST on the brain. Yes. So UPS right here, you've broken down. You're in a bear flag. You're between your 21 and your 50. Until you get over your 50 day on this, I wouldn't go near it. You're 4 points away. Wait for it to get through that. Crowd. You just have to watch this wedge line, and you really have to watch this 269 level and make sure you hold it. I wouldn't be a buyer here. I'd watch. And I'd see what happens. RRR. So RRR with here, look, I like it, but you're going to have to watch it, because if the IWM comes in, I can't stress this enough. I like the trade, but if the IWM comes in, okay, then those trades like the CELHs and they're going to be ugly trades. They're not going to be great trades. You're going to have a real issue. And right now you've rejected here. I really did think this time you were going to go. It didn't do that. It stopped and it paused. So just keep that in mind. It's something to consider. But that's it for the day. If you need me, just reach out, and via email. You can always reach out via email to me if you have questions, or put the questions in the comments too, because I go through and I answer every comment, and we'll go from there. Everybody have a great day. Melvin, to answer this real quickly before I head out, I actually think the crypto sell-off was going to move AMC. I actually thought that. I thought somebody was getting squeezed. To answer that before I head out here. So I do think it can. I do think to some extent, yeah, it can. And I think you're seeing that, where you're seeing the BBIGs of the world and those kinds of names moving. So we'll see how it plays out. Everyone have a great day.